Alright, we've got Rusviet Innovative. This is a strong combination. We're up against Crimea Industrial, Saxony Militant, Polani Engineering, and little old us. Trading for 2 metals, a solid start for Crimea Industrial. Basically, your produce is over your deploy, so once you've accumulated some metal, you can produce, trade for some more metal, then produce it again and get a Mac. I'm going to try a newer Rusviet strategy here that doesn't involve producing twice at the very beginning. Most Rusviet strategies involve double produce right out of the gate to get to 5 workers, and in many cases a third produce to get to 8. We're gonna try something else here. Polani with that engineering, Matt is starting with 2 metal so that they can move next turn and trade for 2 metal and get their first mech. Saxony has militant, and it look like they're setting themselves up for an early mech with a produce followed by a trade. Now that we've got 2 oil, we're going to get a third oil, a metal. And that's going to allow us to get an upgrade here. Upgrade our move, because as we know, the move action is incredibly powerful. And we're going to upgrade our deploy. So now it just costs us 2 metal to make a Mac. Means our very next produce, we can go to 3 workers and immediately get a Mac. Now Crimea is at 2 food and 3 metal. Next turn they can produce, get to 5 workers, they'll be at 3 food, and they'll have probably their speed mech on the village. Means they can turn around and trade for a food, something else, get their first enlist. Alternatively, they could just go ahead and go with the enlist next turn. No, they just traded, so they can't do that. Okay, we're going to have an upgrade, which we have, a mech, which we'll have soon, a structure, recruit, and 1 of each resource. It's not going to be that difficult, except for the structure, which we really don't want to have to get. So we have a choice here, right? Okay, it's going to cost us 2 turns, essentially. Oh no. Okay, there we go. It's going to cost us 2 turns, essentially, if we get the township mech and move twice, get our machine over muscle. But otherwise, we have to build a structure. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go for hedge our bets. We're going to hope to get lucky and to get a building off of an encounter. Now let's look at where we are. It costs us 2 metal to make a mech. getting 1 metal per produce. 1 produce gets us to 5 workers. 2 produces gets us to 8 workers and gets us our second mech. Now Crimea gets their first mech, going with speed to distribute the workers. Industrial is a board that works well with 5 workers because you can put 3 on metal, which will give you a mech outright, and 2 on food, which will give you enough to turn around and trade for 2 food and get your enlist. Getting the speed mech also allows for the second move, Crimea, to move directly to the encounter with the character. Lonnie is going to get their first mech. Might go speed here, they might go river walk, they might go submerge. Thinking it over. They're going to go speed. With that worker on the wood, it probably means they're going to try to build a mine. Or they're hoping to get a building off this encounter. So we're either going to see a move out of Crimea right now or a trade into an enlist. Crimea is going to go the trade route. And you trade for 2 food there because then you can come back, move, distribute your workers, and the very next turn trade for 2 more food and use a combat card as your 4th food to go ahead and get another enlist. Which is nice because you probably want to get the coin enlist in this case, so that when you turn around and produce and get your mech, you get an extra coin out of it immediately. Also, Saxony's only got 1 mech, and we've only got 1 mech, although next turn we get another one. So there's the potential to get quite a bit of coin off that coin enlist. What's Saxony's options here? Well, there's our structure that we were hoping for. Maybe there's another one in there. See if we can afford to pay 2 popularity to build a structure. We're going to produce once here to get to 8 workers, and that will give us our second mech. Then we'll need to produce 2 more times to get our last 2 mechs. But we'll get 2 popularity off the enlist. So that's what we're really hoping for here. We're hoping for either 2 wood off an encounter, which spares us, means we only have to deviate 1 turn to build our building, or what would be even better is to just outright get a building off of an encounter. Here comes a move from Crimea, distributing the workers between the farm and the mountain. See what Crimea gets for the encounter here. I guess Crimea is probably hoping for combat cards or popularity here. You can get the 3 resources and get 3 wood, but what building are you going to get? Get the monument, but unless you're planning on doing a lot of upgrades, you're not going to get a whole lot of popularity off of it. So Crimea is just going to go with the food here. Not a great encounter for Crimea. Okay, so what are we gonna do? It takes us 2 metal to make a mech. We're gonna move 1 worker here. Use our river walk. Move the other 6 here. And move our character here. So do we get a building? We do not get a building. What's our best bet here? This doesn't do much for us. We're gonna have to produce twice anyway to get 12 food, which 3 times 4 is how much we're gonna need for our enlists. So the mechs are gonna happen all on their own. Pay 2 popularity to get a worker, but we're maxed out on workers and 3 oil. That would be nice because we could turn around and trade for 2 wood and get an upgrade and make our buildings cheaper, but that still leaves us 1 wood short. We're gonna take the 2 oil. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to produce twice, make our remaining 2 mechs, and then we're going to move 4 workers over here and produce a lot and produce again. Start to spread out, get our enlists. We're going to have to produce another time to get some wood and build. The oil is useful because we're probably just going to hang on to it, to be honest, because we're going to need 1 of each resource. So we might actually move 5 workers here. Because what will that do? That'll give us an extra wood after we build the building. We already have oil. So we'll really just need a food and a metal. Which is 1 trade action, which is not bad. Alright, let's see here. I'm not going to use township, let's go People's Army. And you can see we're going to run out of power. We will get the 2 power off of the enlist bonuses once we start moving. Gotta keep an eye on Crimea, Saxony here. Got Riverwalk and speed, so he can hit this wood tunnel. Doesn't have disarm yet. We don't need to be too worried about that, but this is not the best place for us to be, because if we get knocked back to base, well, we can't come back with 1 move. Time for mech number 4. Let's go township, since it's the only one left. So Crimea just produced last turn. Now we've got another trade action incoming for them to get in list number 3. Mechs are speed and Riverwalk. Crimea's sitting on 6 power. They can win a fight with us right now. We need to be careful about that. But we do need that wood space. We're definitely, of course, going to leave the food here. Crimea can't wayfare to this spot because this is our home base. Melania can get in here and technically can get out there, but that's a long road. Doesn't even have submerge yet. Technically, Melania could come through here, exit here, and go down here, but it's unlikely. This place is exceedingly safe to leave resources. Is Saxony's moving? That's good for us. That means they can't move next turn. That makes this an ideal turn to move down to this spot and get our first enlist. Saxony has 3 popularity. He could go for this. Problem if he goes for this is he's sitting on only 1 power, and Crimea has Riverwalk and speed and can turn right around and take those resources from him. So he's going to go with the 2 popularity, which is something that doesn't drop on the ground and can't be stolen. May mean that Saxony is going for an economy game here. Don't put a mill on a village. Almost never put a mill on a village. Just because it's not... Once you get to 8 workers, it loses all utility. You're better off leaving a worker on the village and building the mill somewhere else in almost every situation. Alright. One, two, three, four, 5 workers to here. And let's leave our resources behind. Give me a building. No building. Just gonna take the food and popularity because we don't need food, don't need a worker, and we already have all of our max, so. Gonna get the combat cards. Even if they weren't good, and they are, sorry, my camera's down here at the, covering the combat cards. Can't see how many of them we have though. Sorry for the on-the-fly camera adjustment. I've been doing been working on a tournament for been working on a side tournament on the TTS, and had the camera on the bottom right. We got some good combat cards, but the reason we went combat cards instead of power is the combat cards, which we can play 3 of them, forces Crimea to think a little bit. If we go on with 2 power, that doesn't really do much for us. We know that we had a 2 and a 3. 2 power gets us to 7. Well, Crimea could beat that easily and steal our wood whenever it gets there. The combat cards could have been good, which one of them was a 5, so that was great. But even so, that's more of a deterrent to keep Crimea from trying to knock us back to base or take something. Okay. Now we need the power before we can produce. Might as well get a factory card. Yeah, I'm tempted because I kind of want this encounter. But there could be a building factory card, which would be great. We could get a building off this encounter. We're gonna go factory. And let's fortify the factory a bit. Why not? Oh, look at that. And let's get a little bit of power. So what do we still need to do here? We're gonna need 1 trade action. Get a wood and a metal. We're gonna need 2 move actions. See, that's a smart move by Crimea there. Saxony's sitting at 0 power and 3 cards. That's an easy combat for us. Crimea is going to clear Saxony off the map. Keep us from ending this game quickly, hopefully. Crimea's effective. Crimea's at relatively low power, but got the most on the board. Good attack right there. Let's check in on the score. We're ahead, but not by much. Next turn, we're going to go ahead and we're going to build our building, and we're going to attack Saxony right there because they kindly put themselves right back in range for us. Since we don't need this wood anymore, We're going to use one of these mechs with some workers. We're going to leave workers here, here, and here. So this mech is going to bring 3 workers with it and just leave them in a trail along here. Which building is going to benefit us? Let's put a let's look at the building bonus. Straight line, we're just building one, so it doesn't matter. Let's put a mine on the factory. And cheap combat. Tried to call a bluff. We weren't bluffing. That was a nice little score bump for us. So the most we can throw down right now is 10. So attacking Crimea is still not an option. The nice thing though is that Saxony's put a mech here, and Village is our river walk. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to pick up any resources besides what we already have, which is oil and food. Would have been nice if we could have gotten some wood. But we wanted the combat star. And here what we're doing, we're just spreading out a little bit in a way to kind of frustrate any efforts by Crimea to attack us. And at the same time getting one of the last 2 enlists that we need. Saxony's been throwing good cards, not messing around. So where are we on hedge your bets? We have 1 upgrade, we have at least a mech, we have a structure, we have a recruit. Just need 1 of each resource. At this point we have a nice lead. Crimea does not have an upgraded move. Putting this worker here ensures they can only attack us on the factory with 1 unit. Crimea just got to 4. We can't suicide onto Crimea and try to get them to get 6 stars right now, because they've already got the 1 combat star. Just looking for a combat star and an objective. But if Crimea has a 5, or they take R5, they could put up 10. They take R5, 4, 3, that's 7, 9. So what they could do is they could knock this worker with 1 mech and attack us with another on the factory. Well, all we need to end this game is we need a move action and we need a trade action to end this game in round 14. So what we're going to do move here. They can get a combat off of us in all likelihood, but they can't take the factory. And we're just going to do a little spreading out. A little unorthodox. But we have blocked every path to the factory. Polani does not have submerge and doesn't have a mech on the water. Saxony, Crimea, cannot not in one turn both get a combat and move on to the factory. So we're 21 coins up. Let's see what Crimea does. Might as well, right? We're gonna lose one of them. Now Crimea is blocking the factory for us because we know, as we know, we're gonna end the game next turn. We have an upgrade, a mech, structure, a recruit, one of 2 of the resources we need. Trade action giving us the other 2. Now everyone's going to try to pick us apart here. Still got 10 points. Bologna can move. Gonna lose another territory to Saxony, it looks like. Might as well play the 2. We'll draw another combat card when we almost certainly lose. Who knows, we might get a good one. Saxony sitting on 2 cards and 0 power. Possible we win this one. Keep the territory. Saving the best for last, I guess. Alright. Still enough. Still got 6 points. Can Polania bump us? It does not look like they can. They don't have Submerge. They can't access a mine. They do have Riverwalk, but this is their only exit point. So it looks like this is good game in 14 rounds. Polania is going to get their 2nd star. And their 1st enlist. Get their 2nd enlist as well, but they're not going to go for it. All right. And that is Rusviet Innovative in 14 turns. As always, thanks for watching and catch you later.